Okay.
So Don, there have been a lot of stories about our animal shelter in the news lately. And one of them includes a former animal control officer from our shelter by the name of Kathy Schurman. And Ms. Schurman said that she found a dog in the freezer. Do you remember that incident?
I do remember that incident, but what I remember didn't really jive with what was reported on the TV story. So I asked my managers to pull that incident file, and actually found an incident report written by Officer Schulman at the time. And in it, she says that when she was out in the field doing her normal duties, and that when she came back to the shelter, she saw the other animal control officer that was working that day on the dock. And she said that he looked visibly shaken. And so, naturally, she asked him what was wrong. And he pointed to a dog, a chow, on the dock and said that he had found that dog in the freezer. So, naturally, she became upset. Neither one of them were quite sure what to do with that because it had never happened before. And so they called their supervisor, who then called the kennel supervisor. She also reports that at 4 o'clock at the end of their day, that when they both left, the dog was still on the dock.
Oh, okay. So she completed a report?
Yeah, that's correct. She wrote an incident report.
Okay, so everything that you just relayed was in her report. Okay, so her report said that when she returned to the shelter is the first time she saw the dog. Is that the impression that you got? Is that what the report said?
Yeah, in the report she says that when she got back to the shelter from the field, that the dog was on the dock.
Oh, okay. Ms. Schurman also said that she was so upset, understandably so, about this incident, that she asked you to adopt the dog and that you had it euthanized anyway.
Well, what happened is the kennel supervisor came back to the shelter that afternoon. He got there about 4:20, and he euthanized the dog. This incident was not brought to my attention until I returned to work on Monday morning. At that Monday morning, I made it a point to go talk to Kathy and tell her that this would not be tolerated. We did not allow this type of thing to happen in our shelter, and that I was going to find out what happened. And at no point did she ask me to adopt the dog, because it really wouldn't have made sense to adopt the dog. It had already been euthanized.
Sure, sure, that's understandable. When you say you talked to Kathy to make sure she knew that this would not be tolerated, why would you say that to her rather than the person who actually, didn't euthanize a dog properly? Because according to her report, she returned it back. So why would you tell her that?
Well, Kathy was upset. She was she was upset about it, and I don't blame her. And I just want to touch base with her personally and tell her that we were not going to put up with it. And then I immediately launched an investigation. I had everybody who was involved in that situation write incident reports, and through that investigation we were able to determine who was actually responsible for verifying death that day. And everybody involved with that situation was severely and appropriately disciplined.
Okay. So at no time prior to the dog being euthanized did Kathy ask you to adopt the dog? She didn't contact you? Maybe did she call you?
No, she did not contact me and ask me if she could adopt the dog.
Okay. And Monday, the day after the dog was euthanized, was the first time you learned about the incident. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Oh, okay, that's a little different than what we'd heard previously. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Okay, and we're off.